Okay, third graders, today we're going to learn how to draw radially symmetrical snowflakes. You're going to start with the stencil and you're going to make a little dot on every indent. Then you lift off and you're going to lay a ruler down and you're going to connect lines that are opposite. I like to start by kind of making an X. That helps me connect the right dots that are across from each other. And then I lastly connect those other dots, and now it looks kind of like a star. Then I'm going to repeat to make more. Dot on each indent. Then I'm going to connect the dots that are opposite of one another. So top to bottom. Diagonal. And you can see that it's going to look like an X when I lift this off. Now you don't want to connect dots that aren't across from one another. Those two are just near, not across. It won't look like a snowflake in the end if you connect those dots. There we go. And again, dot on the indents. Connect the dots that are opposite. If you're having trouble figuring which dots to connect, they're the ones that are furthest apart from one another. So if I measure that, it's not as far as these two. So those two are the ones I want to connect, and it also makes an X. Two different ways to figure out how to connect those dots. Then I'm going to switch to pastels. We're using a metallic pastel. It has a little bit of sparkle to it. I'm going to start by going right over top of the lines I made. Then I'm just tracing each one. Then I'm going to add details to each of my snowflakes by looking at my learning guide. I want to keep each section of this snowflake the same because it's radially symmetrical. So I'm going to make this V in each section. Now I'm going to add 2 V's to each section. By doing this, my snowflake is the same in each area, and it is radially symmetrical. I can switch colors whenever I feel like it. Maybe I'll switch for this next snowflake and do it pink. I'm going to start the same way by adding a small detail to each section. This time, instead of a dot, I'm going to add a little diamond. Now I'm going to connect my lines. I'm going to put a little dot in the middle and then a couple V's on each line. Notice that I'm not doing 3 on some and 2 on others. I'm doing 2 on all of the sections. Now I only have 3 snowflakes, so I'm going to finish up this last one, choosing another snowflake for inspiration. So a dot at the end of each line. Then I'm going to connect those lines I made in pencil. Now I'm going to make a line between each of my segments. And I think I'm going to do that again. It's almost looking like a spider web now, another object that's radially symmetrical. To make it more like a snowflake, I'm going to add 2 V's to each of these sections. And there we go. I have 3 unique snowflakes. Now it's time for paint. We're going to be using liquid watercolor paint on our papers. This is a watercolor resist because the watercolor paint resists that oil pastel. Now as I'm working, I'm going to sprinkle salt on my wet paint. This does not work if you sprinkle the salt on paint that's already dry. And once it's on, you need to let it sit. Don't move it around on your paper or paint over it again. So I'm getting a little puddle of paint, and then I'll sprinkle some salt on top. The salt absorbs some of the paint and makes a crystal effect that's just perfect for snowflakes. I'm going to finish painting my paper. covering up all the white. Again, I'm not painting an area multiple times. This doesn't work well and it ruins the effect that the salt has. Give it a good sprinkle in on the puddle areas. And now my snowflakes are complete.